All right. Hey guys, Abby here. How are you guys doing today? I am back again with my friend Tunchi here from BBC Podcast 909. We are going to go through one of your emails that was sent in to us by a woman who wanted to share her cuckolding story about her and her husband, and we'll discuss it a little bit here when we're done. So let's get started. It says, hello, I saw your video from a female perspective and your relationship with you and your husband and bull. Sometimes that I've seen come up more and more with the swingers is the idea of breeding fetishes. There you go. I used to be more active in the lifestyle, but not really anymore. I've seen this topic come up more and more with swingers who are swinging interracially. Would you, given the chance to have your bull's child, would you? If your husband was okay with it, would you? I used to know a couple that did go through with it, but I don't think it was on purpose. I see more and more couples like that, mostly white couples. How do you cope with it, or do you know anyone who has? The reason I ask is my husband, who is white, asked me about it. I am black, and from time to time, I meet up with a guy who I've been with sexually for a while now. My husband knows him. We both met him a while back. My husband likes to be dominated by me and by other guys. He has a breeding kink. My husband talks about it a lot, and it turns him on during sex. He loves to be humiliated, so he is a true cuckold. I was thinking about surprising him with me getting pregnant by our bull. If we were to go through with it, should I tell him when I find out, or surprise him the day that I might give birth? Whew, that's loaded. Yeah, I am very dark skinned. My Just and our bull is light skinned. I thoroughly enjoy being a dom. I like the idea and kink and think it is hot to get knocked up by our bull. However, in reality, I'm not sure how it would work. If you could give me your input or ask others to see what they think. All right, so we've got a lot to unload there.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's go with her first question here.
Can you fill me in with the, if you're familiar with the breeding kink?
Oh, the breeding kink is a part of the cuckold swingers, Hotwifing, vixens lifestyle, in that the woman gets impregnated by her bull.
Okay.
Thus breeding.
Yeah. Okay.
Is what they call it. So I have seen this a few times. I have had a couple people actually email me, if memory serves me correctly, it was a Latino couple that got impregnated by BBC, and it was their third child by this bull.
But the same?
By the same bull, yeah. And they loved it, and they were all about it. So, you know, like, her question is, and I have a little bit of reservation on breeding, no matter what race you are, just because my thought process is the child.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very much an advocate for children sort of person, because they can't advocate for themselves.
Yeah, true, they don't have a choice.
Right. And so I personally don't think that I would do something like that, but that's not really a part of my, our kink. So, what do you think? If a couple approached you and asked you, would you be willing to do that?
Yeah, I think more too. It'd be like you said it'd be about the child. Like I understand the play and the kink and the turn on and everything is so good, but it's how much me being the bull, how much would I be allowed to be really interaction with my child? Like, am I just looking at a distance and you guys keep the kid and that's what it is. So,
right.
Yeah, it's a lot more than like the kink and the turn on, not the sexual part. That if you're into that type of thing, is what you need to think about. Like, for sure, like you need to secure the main part is like how is the interaction and what's going to be with the child first.
Right. Yeah.
Before following through with it.
Yeah, I had done a video about that very thing, like the legal aspect of it. Yeah. I'm no attorney by any means, but my thought process is just like you, where how do you want your bull to be involved? Yeah. Do you want them to be the fun uncle? Do you want them to be an equal partner, father, support financially? And then there comes a point where what if, say, the couple is no longer
they weren't
into the swinging lifestyle or what have you, and they want to break away from that. Where does that leave the bull? With the child that is with this couple, and there's too many factors. So I think, like, personally, you would have to have, for lack of a better way to put it, your shit really together. You would definitely have to have, like, I would think, just for the protection of all parties involved, some sort of legal contract drawn up and signed, just because there's so many things that can happen with that. So to answer her question, if given the chance to have my bull's child, would I, at this point in my life, I would say no. I'm about to be an empty nester in another year from now, so no more children for me. Even if it was in my younger years, again, I would be concerned with the child. Yeah. That would be my biggest reservation to even entertaining getting into a situation like that.
Do you know of anyone, like how she asked you?
That have done that? Yeah. No, I don't. If your husband was okay with it, would you do it? Now, if you had the guy come to you, let me ask you this. My husband, if he was okay with it, I don't know that I would still do it. I don't know that that's just a big mess waiting to happen, in my opinion.
Okay.
I mean, if you had a husband come to you and say, hey, you're our bull, impregnate my wife, would you?
Yeah, it's more to it than just that. Like you said, you have to talk about the whole thing, what is the dynamic of the whole thing? That's what comes to my mind. Like, how does that work? Like, she's saying that she wants to surprise him, and she thinks that her husband or her man would be thrilled and excited by it, but is it just the mindset of that she's carrying another man's baby, or like, are you thinking about how we're gonna turn into a family? Like,
right.
So how would that work?
Well, and just because, like, if she, like you said with the surprise thing, like she said, thinking about surprising, he has said this, and it's a kink for him, and it turns him on and turns her on, and if you go to surprise him with that, are you going to tell your bull you're doing this first off? Or are you going to surprise him too?
That is different.
And for some people, something else to consider is some people, even though thinking about those things turns them on, for them actually to follow through with that in reality and have that.
Yeah. Might have a different impact.
Right. She may be the one in for the surprise.
How much do you think when it comes to these kinks and fantasies, is it more, it's like an euphoria in their mind, but if it were to really happen, would they have like a post reaction to it? Like, is it usually positive majority of the time, or is it like, nah, I just spoke on it, I know you're really gonna do it, like.
Right. I don't know. That's a really good question. I would think, some people, for some men in couples, if their wife is not willing to entertain, sleeping with another man, sometimes her just making up the story and, is enough to fulfill that in the man, in his mind. So, I guess it would depend on the individual, really. She might want to ask how serious he really is about that, and maybe start having some open conversations, honest conversations about just that. What is that dynamic going to look like? It's all fun and games, and it's exciting, and it's a thrill, and it's a rush, and it's a turn on. But okay, now you're pregnant, now what? Where do you go from there? It doesn't just stop at getting pregnant. So let's see, what else does she ask? I used to know couples to go through this. See more couples, white couples. How would you cope with it, or do you know anyone who has? I don't know of anyone who has, other than the one couple that wrote into me, who actually, he had told me, like, his wife had been pregnant 3 times by their bull. Yeah, 3 times. They were on their 3rd child, and they loved it. They loved it.
I wonder what their family dynamic is.
That's something that they never discussed.
Wonder just how, if they can just define how does that work for them.
Right. Yeah, that would be interesting. If you're still out there, please
send another email.
Send me another email and let me know how your dynamic is. As far as, yeah, I'd be interested to know that. That's a very good question. Let's see.
What would you say to her about even if, okay, say like they were going to find out the dynamic, and they have their own way of what would happen with who's stepping in as father-wise and all that other stuff, and they have that figured out. What would you, moving forward, what would you say to, better to surprise or to let them know?
Ooh,
being that they already discussed the family thing, they know how they're going to work with the baby, and stuff like that.
I would tread on the air of caution and go to the side of letting him know we're gonna do this.
With that, okay, in this case, dynamic relationship, is that a turn on if she tells the husband, me and the bull have decided we're going to get pregnant and you're going to be okay with it? Is that like a turn on?
It could be.
Okay.
I mean, she
mentioned she likes being dom, so it's like,
yeah. So that obviously, if she likes being dominant, I'm assuming with him being a cuckold, he enjoys being submissive. And she did mention the humiliation aspect, so maybe that's kind of worked into their dynamic. I'm gonna humiliate you and say, hey, you know what, you can't get me pregnant, my bull can.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, that's a interesting email. I don't know. I mean, if you both like the idea of being bred by your bull, and your bull is on board with it, and don't go pulling any, I would suggest not pulling any surprises on your bull too. You know, you don't want him to come over one day and your stomach's out to here and he's like, hey, what's going on? That would be awful. I can't even imagine. I shouldn't laugh about that because it's really not funny.
I mean, it's
people
just different.
though.
It's just different for everybody. So.
Yeah. Yeah, in reality, I'm not really sure how it would work. Yeah. Input or ask what others think. All right. So
leave a comment below or shoot in your questions. She'll see.
Yeah. Definitely leave your comments below with any food for thought that you may have. For her, I would definitely suggest the open and honest conversations between all parties involved.
It's more than a fantasy. It's real serious.
Right. You're playing with the life of a child. You know, how do you explain that to that child when that child gets older and has questions? You know, and you know, then there's the whole outside world factor that plays into that too. You know, not everybody's nice all of the time, you know. So if somebody caught wind of that, that poor child could be, you know, I don't know, lots of things to think about. And not only the family dynamic, financial wise too. Something to consider. You know, are they going to expect support from the bull? Is the bull going to want to do that?
What are his responsibilities, obligations to the whole thing?
Right. Yeah, there's just so much to unpack with something like that. So much more than just engaging in the fantasy and fulfilling it. But yeah, very interesting email, I would say.
I didn't expect that.
Yeah, I didn't think that was gonna go there. Definitely a different take on things. Thank you so much for writing in. Please do, if you want to follow up and let us know what you decide. That would be awesome. I'd love to see how your story ends and how you guys, what you guys do moving forward. Anyone out there have any questions or comments, suggestions, recommendations for this couple? Please leave them in the comments below. And Tunchi, I wanted to take this moment to thank you again for joining me, visiting me.
This is new, and I'm loving it. And send her more stories, man. This is a good stream here to be able to keep good feedback, and it leaves you guys feeling comfortable talking. Leaves yourself incognito, but getting a true deep opinion, because you give her good details, she's giving you good feedback with her experiences or what she has and what she doesn't. So I think that's good.
Aw, thank you. You're so sweet.
I think that's good.
All right, don't forget, check out Tunchi on his YouTube channel, BBC Podcast 909. And where else can they find you?
We got TikTok, we got Instagram, Facebook, all the handles are all the same, BBC Podcast 909. Message us, let us know if you have any opinions. If you have any emails, I'll take an email. I'd like to hear a story like this too. So once again, thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. It's been a pleasure. This has been really fun.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Until next time, we'll see you soon.